Hi, have you ever wondered what is a supply chain? What is supply chain management? Do you have demand for anything? Your favorite drink, cereal, or electronic device? Well, that demand has to be serviced by being supplied. And in order to be supplied, there are a sequence of events that occur between a retailer and companies that produce those goods to get those goods to you. Those sequence of events we refer to as a chain. So a supply chain is a sequence of events that services your demand. In other words, a supply chain is the management of the flow of physical products, cash, information, and demand signals in a way that gets you the product you demand when you want it. Supply chain management generally can be thought about as occurring across 6 activity sets: planning, sourcing, manufacturing, delivering, sometimes the need to return product, and then enablement. Currently, there are millions of packages delivered on a daily basis to customers across the United States. As a matter of fact, some estimates have it that over 100 million packages will be delivered daily by the year 2026. That means across the supply chains that those products are going to be delivered, those packages are going to be given to customers. There are going to be hundreds of thousands or millions of transactions across retailers, their suppliers, manufacturers, as they manage their sourcing, logistics, and distribution activities. This level of activity and collaboration and number of transactions drives data sets that comprise millions of data points. So to confer and keep this competitive advantage through the supply chain, companies are going to have to leverage analytical, technological, and managerial skills to manage supply chains successfully into the future. Why are analytical, technological, and managerial skills so important in supply chain management?
So, as you are probably all aware, the recent COVID 19 pandemic caused severe disruptions to supply chains around the globe. And what data analytics can help us do is identify where the risks in the supply chain are, so we can hopefully make those supply chains a lot more resilient than they were in the past. Something else that happened as a result of the COVID pandemic is that the demand patterns shifted dramatically in many industries, and that has proved to be challenging to many companies because they cannot rely on the past 10 years worth of data to know what the future will hold. Things are changing dramatically, and they need better ways to analyze data and better ways to predict the future.
Let's look at this by looking at a retailer that operates both the traditional brick and mortar model that we have come accustomed to and also the omni-channel or e-commerce driven model that we are becoming more and more accustomed to. So in the traditional channel or model of retail, a retailer has to figure out who likes what product, which customers like which particular products, how much of those products do they like, how much of the product do they want, when do they want the product, what time should the product be available, and in what quantities would they like to purchase the product. Not only that, but an additional factor for consideration is where should the inventory or product be stored prior to the customer purchasing it. These are some of the decisions that require accuracy to, again, deliver in a manner that keeps customers happy, but do so in a cost-effective manner. The use of analytical, technological, and managerial skills, techniques, and tools would help a retailer drive good decision making to answer those questions effectively in the traditional retail model. Let's add a level of complexity. There are many retailers that drive and operate that traditional retail model, in addition to operating in what we now call omni-channel environments, or facilitating purchases via e-commerce. When that is the case, there's some very interesting dynamics that happen in the supply chain that call for unique skill sets.
So, in addition to understanding risks in the supply chain, data analytics can really help companies become more innovative. By understanding what customers want when they want it, companies can make better investments in, for example, technology. And you have probably all heard about companies such as Walmart investing in drone delivery and being able to satisfy, demands placed within half an hour. Let's say that you are in urgent need for something for dinner at home. You can place an order, get a drone to deliver to your doorstep within 30 minutes. Now, what backs up all of those decisions? It's the analysis of the data. It's understanding what customers want. It's understanding where the market is moving. And all of that requires data analysis to support those investment decisions because they require huge capital investment. And these companies need to make sure that they're making the right decisions and needs to be supported by data.
Additionally, retailers operating in the e-commerce space also need to think about how do they accurately forecast demand in both online and traditional formats when one retailer manages both. The combination of all these products and all these problems together make a situation that calls for the ability to describe what's happening, to probably determine what may happen next, to determine why things happen, and to suggest what should be done. These questions call for analytical, technological, and managerial skill sets that allow data and its analysis to improve supply chain practice and drive competitive advantages in supply chain management.
So we have tried to give you an overview of what is supply chain, give you a few examples of how data analytics and supply chain can combine to improve the operations in different companies. But something else that you really need to consider when you choose a concentration is what are the job opportunities out there. And if you look at the list of the Fortune 100 companies, what you will notice is that at least 2/3 of those companies heavily rely on supply chain functions in order to produce and deliver products and services to their customers. All of these companies either have to purchase something, manufacture something, or ship it to customers not just around the US, but all around the world. And these companies really, you can find them in a variety of areas. For example, retail probably comes to our mind first because here in Northwest Arkansas, that is, we're a huge hub for many of these companies. For example, Walmart. But there's also companies such as Amazon and Target and Costco that are in that Fortune 100 list. And it's well beyond just retail stores. For example, think about technology companies such as Apple and Intel and Cisco and Dell. Think about transportation companies such as FedEx and UPS. Even automakers like Tesla and Ford and GM. Or even healthcare companies, Johnson & Johnson and Merck and Abbott and Pfizer. All of these companies need supply chain, heavily rely on supply chain in order to be successful. And they need people with your capabilities. They need people that know how to analyze data and can understand supply chain. If you choose the supply chain concentration, it will give you the perfect combination of both data analytic techniques and supply chain and business background that will allow you to not just analyze the data, but be able to truly inform everyone in a company what the data is actually telling and how those results can be used to improve decision making. Let's hear from the experts. Let's see what the experts have to say in terms of what are the needs for supply chain and data analytics talents at their own companies.
My name is Alex Alacusin. I currently work at Walmart. I'm a University of Arkansas supply chain graduate. Currently, I am a senior director of merchandise operations, which includes our replenishment and business analytics functions for the baby department at Walmart. Prior to that, I've done stints across our grocery division, entertainment areas, toys, and some seasonal areas. If you think about just retail in general, in the last several years, our customers' expectations are rising. So their expectations of when they get product and how they get it are rising. And simultaneously, the last couple of years, supply chain has become much more complex. The data is just getting, it's growing. There's more and more of it to sift through and to understand, and then to be able to turn around and act against it and really make a difference in a business. You've got to be really great at working through it and understanding what you're seeing and how to make decisions. Even think about like the Walmart supply chain. So Walmart announced this year that we will be rolling out fully automated warehouses, robotics in all of our warehouses. So the amount of data that is going into those warehouses in order to receive, move, and ship product has gone up tremendously. You're no longer working with just people and teams, and you have to understand data and how to move product through a warehouse with robotics, artificial intelligence, understanding end to end. And so if you're going to step into a role like that, there's now a need for more people with those types of skill sets. Understanding data is important, but it's also crucial to understand the end-to-end supply chain and understand the supply chain that's coming to the warehouse and the rest of the supply chain downstream. The data that leads to being able to use the artificial intelligence and the robotics to go into making the right decisions so that can happen end to end it takes the supply chain knowledge, and it takes the combination of both the data analytics and the supply chain in order to make those results come to life. Talking to the automation, so spoke to that a little bit, but the automation is coming to supply chain and analytics, but also when you think about how crucial last mile supply chain has become and the amount of analytics, the amount of companies that are trying to do last mile. So we're ordering everything from our groceries to fast food delivery to, you name it. That last mile supply chain has become something that across multiple industries customers expect. And that requires a good knowledge of supply chain as well as a good knowledge of data analytics to be able to build efficiencies, whether it's the apps or the systems or all of the inputs that go into helping to run those, or the customer experience on both ends. And those jobs are growing because the expectations that companies are looking for more and more people that can do that. A fun thing to be on the front end of changing an industry and really elevating something like as simple as what can be delivered to your door or something of that nature.
So because we have designed our curriculum for students to be able to apply what they're learning with companies, working closely with companies, we've designed the content and the context for the courses, drawing from input from industry, and we have instructors who have worked in supply chain, and so their knowledge is very relevant and they understand how it actually works in the real world. We have been recognized by Gartner, a leading research firm that companies follow and pay attention to in terms of which company or universities from which they recruit. We've been recognized by them 2 times in a row as being ranked #1 of all supply chain programs in North America. So if you find supply chain management interesting to you, given your data science background, we would love for you to consider joining our program. If you have any questions, please do not hesitate to reach out.